Welcome, YouTube family. I don't know if we have a name for our Perazim YouTube subscribers. Perazimers? No? Children of the Lord. Perazims, something. Whoever y'all are, we're grateful that you're tuned in for the conversation.
Stay tuned for the name.
Stay tuned for the name. This is episode 1, raw and uncut. I love it. But we're here with some of my favorite people. We've got Liz, Saga, and Paul. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves in just a second, but I want to set vision for what to expect from this episode and the episodes that are to come. Over the last few years, we've just had a lot of impactful conversations in light of some of the things that God has been teaching us from the pulpit. And we thought to ourselves, why not just invite everybody online into the conversation? We have somewhat of that at home groups in our Bible studies, but nothing to this extent or on this platform. And so this is our feeble attempt. This is our weak attempt at trying to let you guys in on some of the things that God has been teaching our community. And what I love about this platform is it's not necessarily, you know, you got to keep it at 30, 45 minutes. It's not somebody talking at you. It's not a sermon. It's a conversation. And I believe that you sometimes, if not always, can get more out of a conversation than a sermon. There's just some things that God has entrusted different people in our community with: information, knowledge, wisdom, experience, and just getting to pull from that is a breath of fresh air. And that's actually why we need one another. That's the body of Christ. And so I'm excited to learn from everybody here and grow and be edified. I hope you are too. And that, without further ado, why don't you guys, let's do this. If you're married, y'all ready? You got a little nervous?
There's 3 of us.
Not the hypotheticals. We're starting.
So if you're married, say how long you've been married for, and then your favorite thing about your partner. If you're not married but engaged, you can talk about how long you've been together for and your favorite thing about your partner. But if you're not married, engaged, but dating, you can talk about how long y'all been together for and what your favorite thing about your partner is. And so we catch everybody here. So Liz, you want to set it off?
Yes.
Inclusivity.
I am Liz. We have been married almost 6 years to Yoni, the worship pastor. Hey. Shout out. My favorite thing about him, he is, how do I explain this? I'm not hesitating because I can't think of something. He is so, like he has an idea. He has these ideas, these goals, and he just puts his whole self into it. He knows the idea. He knows how to execute it. Sometimes, you know, it can be a little rough maybe, but he is just 100% into something, and I just love that he can just go ahead into something and not have any, like, real hesitation. I think it's pretty cool.
That is pretty dope. Yeah. Okay. Is that how he got you? He had a goal, and then
probably, yeah.
And then he just
persistence.
He pursued me for over a year. So yeah, he said that's who I want, and I'm not gonna quit. And he did it.
Executed. Praise the Lamb.
He did well.
3 kids later.
Yeah, he did well.
For sure.
Okay, my turn.
Your next line.
Yeah.
My name is Aga, and I am not married, and I'm not engaged, but I am dating a beautiful man named Tadetta, a.k.a. Tessie, a.k.a. T, a.k.a.
We got
some
it.
more AKAs.
I was going to say, you're going to give that one, my favorite one.
Wait, what is your favorite one?
I don't know if I can say it. I don't want him to get mad.
Hey, put it out there, bro.
Is it?
Ketchup.
Ketchup. I couldn't hear you at first. Yes. Yeah, and I'm so loved and so full and so deep. And so grateful. And the question was one thing I appreciate or I
enjoy in
my partner. They're very different than me, like in a lot of ways.
Good.
And I love that. I think at first, you know, still in moments, it frightens me.
Yes.
It's like, whoa, that's so different.
Yeah.
it's the initial shock of just how we see and move in the world differently. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's a grace, and it's shown me just like new ways to see the world. And then I also just love how he sees me.
Good.
How long have y'all been dating?
I was gonna ask the same question.
We have been dating a year-ish.
You guys have a cool story of how y'all reconnected too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Perazim.
Hey,
But we'll get to
Not
that
been over here.
Yeah.
playing matchmaker. So I'm Paul. I've been dating my fiance. That sounds weird. I don't. It sounds so weird to me still, bro. Like it's like fiance. Like I cringe a little, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's we've been dating for about 3.5 years. We've been engaged since for a couple months, not too long. But yeah, favorite thing about her, I kind of echo what she say. Like it's like she's very different than I am, but in like a very nice way. It's like a compliment. And also like her heart, like the way she loves on people is like amazing. Her organization skills are definitely a plus. That's not like my favorite thing,
Next level.
but it helps a lot, bro.
lot.
Like
Helps all of us.
yeah, it's like Perazim. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, us.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So here's the thing: the last 3-4 weeks, we've been in a sermon series entitled "Love on Top," inspired by Fiance, of course. And we've just kind of been talking about. I think the first week, Pastor Yosef talked about what I wish I knew about marriage, and then he kind of went into some practical tools for us to think through as we engage the topic of marriage. And one of the things, I mean, we could start it off light. He gave the 666 joke. He's talking about women want a man who is 6 feet tall for no reason. She'll be like 5'2", wants somebody over 6 feet.
4'11", bro.
4'11".
Or 11 and a half. She likes to say 5 feet, but she's
Round up.
Oh man, that's hilarious. 6 feet tall. He's got to make 6 figures and have to have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And then men, they want basically a mother, not a spouse. They want somebody to take care of them, clean for them, cook for them, all of that. And it was just funny the way he brought that up. But they say there's a little bit of truth to every joke. And I think we've seen more and more people avoid dating or stay single longer than maybe that they wished for, hoped for, planned for. And I think part of the problem, this is, we're not going to solve the problem today. There's so much that plays a role in why people are getting married later or why people are still single. But I think part of it has to do with having maybe unrealistic expectations about what a partner should be. Maybe we have unfair requirements for a person. Like what happens with the guy that loves Jesus, works hard, goal-oriented, visionary, family man, but is 5'5". No, 5'10". Praise God.
Praise God.
Praise God. I'm not 6 feet tall, but I'm
you're
above
part of the
average.
problem too.
They say the average man in America is 5'9".
Bro,
We just
above
average.
How tall are you? Above average. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Just know.
Barely made it.
But we're here. But yeah, there is that. I know there's some of that in me. I know I was a little honest about that, even in the message I gave last week about, man, do I even possess the things that I look for? But how do you guys? I know you guys are on the other side of that, where you guys are not single anymore. But what was that like for you guys? And maybe once you got married, started dating, got engaged, were you like, wow, like, Tega alluded to the fact that you're with someone that's very different. Paul alluded to the fact that you're with someone very different. How has that blessed you guys? Maybe like unpacking that a little bit, because sometimes maybe we don't understand the beauty of someone that doesn't necessarily fit our category or fit some of the expectations that we've had from the beginning. I don't know. How do you guys process that? What do you guys think?
Yeah. For me, dude, it was we had a rough start with Steph, like very, very rough. Because we have very unrealistic expectations for each other. And we had this idea of like, yo, our relationship's gotta be perfect. Mind you, this was like my first relationship that was like very like faith oriented, and we were like, yo, like God in the middle. You know, like we had no time to play anymore. Before it was just like date to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
At that point, it turned into like, yo, like this could be like serious. You know, this could be the one. So it was a lot of like, this gotta be perfect and like all butterflies and rainbows. Because the second, like it's like something that's like just a rock in the way, we were like, is this supposed to be? Right? So we had like a lot of like unmet like unrealistic, not even unmet. It was just like, this gotta be perfect. Otherwise it's not worth it. So we had a lot of fights and conversations at first, just based on that fact alone, that we quickly realized how imperfect we were and how that expectation was never going to fly. Like it was never going to work. Wow. And yeah, I mean, I guess we made it because 3.5 years later, we're here. Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say that it's just, we had a lot of that just unrealistic, understanding what a relationship was. And unrealistic like godly relationship, right? Because we thought like, oh, we put God in the middle and now we're gonna be fine. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. We're still imperfect. Still gonna make each other mad. We're still gonna come in short all the time. So yeah, I'm understanding that.
That makes me think. Do you think one of the reasons why we have lofty expectations is because deep down we want to avoid problems?
100%. So and we look, bro. Listen. So we dug deep in that problem, right? We went in. We were like, yo, we gotta solve this because this is gonna go. So we found out from each other that based on like our family experiences and what we have seen, we were afraid of everything. So it was just like, I don't want to end up like my uncle. I don't want to end up like my, whatever, like fill in the blank. So I don't like, the second you show any kind of sign of that path, we're done. Right? Like this is a problem. This is like a stop. So it was a lot of like, what we've seen and preconceived notion of like, yo, if this is like starting to go this way, we're going to end up like them. So it was for sure like afraid, I guess, like a fear.
Being triggered. Like,
absolutely.
Oh, I've seen this before.
Absolutely.
It hasn't worked out in the past. That means we're not going to work out.
Broken families, broken relationships, for sure.
That's real. Yeah, how are you guys processing that? What do you guys think?
I feel like I feel like a lot of times, like in my experience in this love, what's revealed is like something that needs to be healed. And so like, you came in the door and you were scrolling on the internet and it set off a whole course of like reactions. But really it's like, I have a fear of being ignored. I have a fear of being rejected. I have a fear of, I'd rather you just not be here than be here but not be here. And that has nothing really to do with you. But it's in that moment revealed that like, ooh, okay, Jesus is still working on me. She's hurting. And same vice versa. Right. He's not here to speak to those things for himself, but the same vice versa. So it's like it takes a while, I think, to sometimes identify that root cause and like that place that needs healing. And that just like fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of looking stupid, fear of looking played.
That's right.
It's so deep. It's so deep. On the littlest things. So I felt what you were saying there. Even in having a different like family story or community story of relationships that I had witnessed, that were life-giving, that showed me the hard stuff and showed me the fruit of marriage, and what God ordains, just adding to life. Still yet, there's like things that God is healing in each of us individually, and those show up in a partnership dynamic.
Right.
That's deep. Something to add to that, like I think, and Liz can probably attend to this more, but you never like stop healing.
Yeah.
Like it's like we're so broken
Yeah.
that like you might be. I've talked to my parents about this. They're like 24 years into marriage, and it's like, yo, like you never stop.
Yeah.
Like there's things to this day that take like surface that we didn't even know we were there.
Yeah.
But one word, one action, one something, like the littlest thing triggers that. And all of a sudden, like we have this big problem and big issue that has to be resolved and that has to be digged that like deep.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about it in home groups too, like how it's like generational like chains that you're carrying. So it might not even be your chain; it might be your grandpa's chain that you're carrying to this day. You have no idea because you were born with that, you were raised with that. You like that's all you knew, and then all of a sudden, one word, one action. You're all the way in there with your grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough because you have no idea. You have no idea.
You're in the 60s,
bro. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? You're experiencing this trauma all over again. It's just like, but why?
Yeah.
You know, like this, like it's so dumb. Like this phrase, this word.
Yeah.
Why am I triggered like that?
Yeah.
Why do I feel the way I feel? So just based on that, you never stop. Like
That's
you
that
never
family
like
origin.
just ends because you're carrying like probably 200 years of trauma with you. You feel me?
That's right. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot that like your parents probably broke, like chains that your parents broke.
Yeah.
If hopefully they were in like the faith.
Yeah.
There's some chains that you're gonna be breaking, but there are chains that you're still gonna be carrying, man. Like, it's just what it is.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Liz, I saw you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I mean, our expectations were definitely different. Just even us as people, like because we were so different in honestly where we were at in our lives. That's me and Yoni I'm talking about. And because I got married when I was 30 and he was 21, so we are significantly different in age. We were in kind of like different like stages, kind of sorta, but the expectations that he was not my type. I was not his type. So that's one of those things like we were talking about.
Type.
I know y'all are talking about serious stuff. I could get into that too, but
Not talking about type.
but we were not each other's type. Like, like if I'm gonna be honest, I had never dated a black man. He had, I think, dated one white girl before me. Like it's just that was huge. So race was one thing, our age was one thing, our culture. He is Ethiopian, I am American, so it just, there was like so many things that I never thought that I would put into place into my marriage, and then on top of that, then I'm adding all of these things, but I don't think like those things really came to my mind. Like all I saw with him was love, that I just loved this person so deeply, and he's over here because he's a strategizer, and you know, he thinks about that stuff. So he's been in the back of his mind thinking about that the whole time we're dating, and I'm over here like, let's just get married, let's have fun. Like I'm like happy-go-lucky. But yeah, that definitely put some serious challenges in our marriage and stuff that we overcame in dating. And then when we got married, a lot of them kind of chilled out a little bit, but it's definitely still a struggle. But yeah. I would not recommend it to anybody else. Like legit. I always was like, I would meet friends that like would be like, yeah, my boyfriend is like a couple years younger than me, and I'm like, you sure you're ready for that? Like that's only a couple years, but still, like it is. There's just a lot of things that come with those different things. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, as you guys are talking, I remember one time I was in the car with a friend of mine. He's married. And he's like, bro, why are you single? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I just don't know if I've met my type, the person I'm looking for. He's like, what's your type? And I started listing off these things. And then I won't get into the list, but one of the things I said, is like,
SpongeBob, like episode that you just pulls the list and just falls all the way to like the Krusty Krab.
Yeah. But I was like, oh yeah, I want someone that loves hip hop. I just need that. And he literally, he was patient up until that point. And when I said that, he literally burst out in laughter. He's like, bro, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Do you know that? I was like, what do you mean? He's just like, bro, nobody cares what kind of music you like in marriage. That's the last thing you're thinking about. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, bro, like you need somebody that loves God, fears God, you're able to communicate well with, somebody that's humble. You need to be humble. He's like, bro, if you have somebody that's humble, even if she doesn't like hip hop, she's going to engage that world.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, no, bro, but we got to go to concerts together. He's like, bro, I just hate single people. He just like started coming at me.
That took a left.
I know it did, right? It's like we're doing so well. But his like visible frustration, I needed that though.
I'm the same way though. I literally, when you said that, I'm like, what? Hip hop? Really? Like that's the choice?
Yeah. But like I think there's something to say about that. As you guys are talking about what's been working in the relationship, the things that's been confronted in the relationship, man, I feel silly thinking about some of the things that I feel like I need to have a successful relationship. Yeah. And I think what I'm seeing here, and maybe this is unpopular or this is a hot take, but a lot of maybe the things that we're looking for, or maybe I'm projecting, is unnecessary and not necessarily needed to make a successful relationship. I did want to ask you guys, like, Paul talked a little bit about this. You know, I think we often forget that one of the purposes of marriage is sanctification. That's on, like, God created us differently on purpose. That was not an accident. Like, oop, all right, let's see how this works. He's like, you guys need something different so that you may be confronted, that you may be shown maybe some of the inconsistencies in your own heart, in your own actions and behaviors, some of the ungodly thoughts that you have or patterns that need to be addressed. And I think that, you know, it's like you and I, we've talked about this, relationships can serve as a mirror in some sense where, you know, your partner truly shows you how much healing you need. And I guess maybe and that's kind of like where the conversation is going. So maybe leading into that, I wanted to ask you guys, what has helped you guys fight well? Because that's not easy when somebody's on the internet and then this thing comes out of, wow, you're not the issue. I'm afraid of rejection. Or you're in it with your partner and she's triggering all the things that you saw in your family that you wanted to avoid your whole life. Or you're confronted by things that you didn't think that you'd be confronted by. Like, I thought we just loved each other and love was going to be enough. And now we're confronted by age and culture and race.
In-laws.
That's a whole nother. For real. That's another conversation. Yeah. What has helped you guys fight well? And in fighting, because we don't start off fighting well. We learn how to fight well. But what has that taught you about even what you should be looking for in a partner? Like, man, I thought I needed somebody who loves hip hop, but really I needed somebody that is self-aware or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So how have you guys navigated that, and what's that been like for you guys?
Tough. I think what's coming up for me is like, I love you. I want to see you transform into the likeness. I want the same for myself. There's purpose and a price that was paid for us. Wow. We're here. Shout out to us. Yeah. Right? We want that for us. Yeah. I also need to fully love you right now. And I think that's the like reflection of God's love that I think we're called to in partnership, where it's like, you know, I want you to be great. Yeah. I see what's on the way. Yeah. You know what I mean? I see, you know. Yeah. We got a couple years. But God's doing something. We're on the way, you know? And also, I love you right now as is fully all of you. And, like, even if that thing never changes, whatever that thing is, like, I still love you here. And, I know for myself, one of those things is, like, I really, I can talk. I can articulate. I can express myself. When there's, like, a cost to my, like, vulnerability or pride or whatever in, like, intimate relationship, I'm a whole mime. Like, I explained this to you before. No, I explained this to you before. And I illustrated it like if Liz came and slapped me on the side. Okay, Liz, you're my intimate partner in this situation, but tap me, just tap tap me a little, hit me a little, yeah. And I was like, ow, okay, but the idea is that you hurt me, right? I don't fully know why. Like, was it intentional? Was it unintentional? Like, a lot's going on in my head now. But I know you hurt me, and I feel the hurt. But instead of being like, hey, love of my life, you hurt me, what I'm going to do instead is, like, tap dance. Like, break out in song. Like, start juggling flaming hula hoops. Like, do anything but say, you hurt me.
Wow.
And it's just because, like, I don't know. That's the fear of rejection. That's the fear of, like, sharing that and then not getting the response that I need or that I feel I'm owed. And because of that, typically, for me, there's like a, 1 to 2 day, give or take, couple hours. Holy Spirit, sometimes works in. Yeah. There's like a significant amount of time that passes before I'm able to articulate in an intimate relationship that, like, something's hurt me. And I know this has happened time and time again over the course of our relationship. I know this is my work, like, I know that this is my healing. I know that, like accessing my voice and honoring when I'm hurt, that's part of how I need to be transformed. Right. But it just be so hard, Yeah. And I feel called to that. I feel challenged to that, like, better, like, okay, it hurt me. Let me say it, like, right now, okay? And, like, let me, like, take a break and then come back and, like, articulate what I need. And so that's a practice that I'm growing in. And still yet, we're connecting with some of his family. And I think we were sharing this story, and his older brother said, "Oh, it takes her 1 to 2 days. Give her 1 to 2 days."
How does he handle that?
He said it's so easy. He was like, "Just give her the 1 to 2 days."
How does your partner handle the 1 or 2 days? Like,
it's agonizing.
It's
torture for the man. It's horrible. Yeah. It's like literally torture. Yeah. But he knows at this point I'm not doing it to torture him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just my work. Yeah. And so there's grace for that 1 to 2 days. And that, I think, is the, like, loving me fully present day. It's aga. Because what if that 1 to 2 window never becomes faster? Like, what if it's just always
1 to 2 days? 2 to 3 business days.
Like, can you still love me, And I don't want there to be this, like, conditional thing in the air. Like, if you change in this way, then I'll love you fully or more, or, like, we'll get to that place in our love. Oh, it's like, fully love me here. And that actually, that embrace, that grace, the way it holds me, I actually want to do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is the...
Yo, you know what's crazy? As you're talking, that's the gospel.
Low key.
That's high key the gospel. It's like, and I think that we break out. I was gonna say break out into worship. We forget that God doesn't love this future version of us.
Yes.
He loves us today.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing that we can do that makes him love us more or less.
Yeah.
Because of the finished work of Jesus, that's it. Like, more holiness is not going to mean more love.
Yeah.
Or, like, more sin does not mean less love. Like, he presently, like, today, February, whatever the date is, 2023.
25th, bro.
25th, 2023. I am as loved as I'll ever be by God. Period, right? Yeah. And to your point, though, it's like, it's that love that motivates me, that inspires me, that strengthens me to change, right? It's like, I know you're not going anywhere with this love. Yeah. And so let me, like, go from 1 to 2 days to maybe 24 hours, and then maybe 6 hours, and then maybe 4, and then... She said yesterday. Let's just say yesterday, yeah. And so, but I love, and I think that's so beautiful that, we get to experience God's love, and in experiencing God's love, we get to imitate that towards our partner or what have you. And so, yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
Go ahead. You go. I talk too much. Go for it.
Well, I wanted to kind of like turn a little bit where I wanted to say, so you were saying differences kind of more in like the negative side of it, or like how they can be more negative, but I see them like, yes, we have had differences, and we still do, obviously, but like where it is more like there can be more of a negative feel to it, but like I see it in like our differences as being like, so we are in full-time ministry, like that's what we do, and it actually brings it like where we notice that it actually helps our future, like how different we are, like things that he does that I would never even think about or do, and vice versa. And it's like we're able to kind of, you know, lift people up differently. Like it's just that kind of thing, like where I feel like our future is bigger and brighter because we're so different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, yes, they're at first I was like, oh, we're so similar. We can both sing. Like that's literally it. Like I was like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And
pursue music career.
Yeah, like for real. And yeah, like we have so many differences now, and realizing it. And at first, it was hard for me to I was like, no, we can't be different. Like it's not okay. And I feel like a lot of single people like, oh, we have so much in common. Like it's just so cute. And I'm like, just wait till you all get married, and you're that first time that he does something that you're like, wait, what are you doing? Yeah. So, and I'm not saying like even when you're dating, yes, you find those differences. I love that, but it definitely is like something that you kind of like want to look forward to, like that you guys are going to be bettering each other. Honestly, I learned something from him because he's different than me. So
that's real. I love that. Paul, you're gonna.
Just like to add, because you were talking about like, you know, how do you resolve conflict and how do you manage that? One thing that we've been like slowly trying to implement with Seb is I saw this and I don't remember if it was a sermon or video. I don't remember what it was. But this girl was talking about it and was like, I changed the way I see my partner when I, instead of being like, yo, that's like Steph, it's like, yo, that's Steph, the daughter of God. Like, it changes the way you can even approach that, right? Like, there's like a very healthy like reverence behind that, behind like being like, yo, you're not just you, you're like somebody created in the image of God. That the way I talk to you, the way I fight with you, the way I argue, the way I disagree, the way I do anything with you has a undertone of a reverence, because you are the daughter of God, right? Like, let that sing in, bro. Like, if you're the daughter of a king, you're not talking to her the same way you would do to any girl. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa, right? Like, if you're the son of a king, if you're a prince, it's different. You're talking to me different, just for that, not because of like, oh, we're afraid. We're in the exact same level, but yo, God is right there. You know what I'm saying? So it changes that. It changes a lot of like, how we approach each other, how we fight with each other. It's like, yo, like, it's not just us right here, right? Like, we're, and going with you is like, just, you know, we love each other. We understand that. We've been together for 3.5 years. We ain't going nowhere. Why are we fighting? Like, we're going to like dip and like leave the door like that. There's nothing like that. Right? So
that's good, man.
Just adding that to kind of like the way that we've like started to incorporate that into our fighting, into our, arguments, disagreements, a lot of petty disagreements turn into like arguments, which being like trying to like completely eradicate, because we're like, yo, like this was a waste of a day, because we've been fighting the whole day and day. And you know, Steph is like the kind of person that she needs to like a minute to like collect her thoughts, and then we can come back and talk, and that's like kills me, bro, because I'm like, here we go, Saturday is gone, man, because now we're gonna have to like regroup in like 2 or 3 hours to talk about this, and that the conversation is gonna be like 4 or 5 hours, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, here we go again.
There goes my weekend.
I only have Saturdays out, bro, come on. So yeah, bro, so that's it's powerful, like that word really blessed me into how just how I see stuff in general, like how, you know, that was it. It changed.
That actually reminds me, this was something that was shared in the sermon I gave last week. It's a quote from C.S. Lewis in his book, The Weight of Glory. But he said, Christian man, if God gives you one of his daughters to raise children besides, laugh hysterically with, make love to, and travel alongside, she will one day be a creature which, if you saw her now, you'd be strongly tempted to worship. Yeah. She is cultivating a beauty your earthly eyes cannot yet see without blinding. Marrying in the Lord is never a call to settle. And just this realization, like, you'll have the right perspective of who you're talking. This is the daughter of a king. This is the son of a king. And if you were to truly see her in all of her splendor, if you were to truly see her in all of God, how God has designed her and fashioned her and made her, if you were to get a glimpse of what God was actually making in her and building in her and producing in her, C.S. Lewis says you'd actually be tempted to worship her. That's so wild, right?
So powerful.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, if we want to get into that, I mean.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to talk about it?
I mean, that is something like I feel like we all like are going through this life and we're like, I can't wait till I'm this. I can't wait till I'm this. I can't wait till I'm this. And so it's like, I'm going to be for real. That's how I was. I was single. I want to be married. I got married. I loved it. I feel like I put myself there and I was like, that's all I'm going to put myself into. I'm going to be totally the best wife I can possibly be, blah, blah, blah. And I put him as a kind of like an idol. I worshipped him. I worshipped that marriage, that relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then I had children. I said, I want to be a mom. And then I had kids. And then I feel like I've put myself there at points at times now, too. But now I'm obviously starting to recognize that, like, I can't go to these positions in my life and be wanting them so bad that, like, once I get there, I'm, like, now worshiping that situation or really wanting to long to be there.
Yeah.
But it is
that's
like,
good. No,
sorry, I heard the negative in that.
No, yeah, that was good. Yeah, I mean,
so good.
This was also addressed last week too. I reference Augustine, and he talks about how we were made in love and we were made for love, and God has designed us to love, right? Yeah. The issue is we either love the wrong things or we have disordered desires. We love the right things in the wrong order. So it's good that you love your husband. It's good that you love your kids, but to put that in the wrong place is to love them wrong or incorrectly. Yeah. And I think we do that. I think our culture celebrates. I hate TikTok sometimes because, man, everybody just makes relationships this like thing, right? And everybody looks at TikTok and is like, oh, I just wish I was with somebody. And if I had somebody to hold on, relationship goals. If I had just had some. And I think there's nothing wrong with desiring marriage. I think it's healthy. I think actually we should all desire marriage. I know that's not the case and it's okay if you don't too. That's also a blessing and a gift. But I think there's a difference between desiring a good thing and coveting or worshiping a good thing. And Tim Keller once said, an idol is anything good or bad that takes the place of God. Growing up, I used to think an idol is just sin. It's like, nah, an idol can be ministry. Anything good or bad that takes the place of God. And so I appreciate that take. That was good. And I think that we need to speak to that. Listen, I feel like we can go on for another hour easily. But just to wrap up here, what would be your unsolicited advice to our listeners? Ain't nobody asked us, but we're going to give it anyways. But in light of being married, being engaged, dating, in light of and by the way, thank you guys for all sharing very deep and intimate things from your experiences. I don't take that lightly. I know that's not easy to do just when the cameras are off, let alone when the cameras are on. And I trust and pray that the things that you shared is going to benefit our listeners. Well, I know it's benefited me. But in light of some of the things that you have communicated already, some of the things that you've been learning, that you are learning, maybe what would be your advice to anyone single, dating, or married as it pertains to relationships, love?
I was like, I kind of want to, I guess, start.
Yeah.
I would say, and we kind of have already said it a little bit, but that like we're all evolving and changing all the time. That's something I've really had to understand for myself, that I am changing and growing, and like this is could be for multiple different reasons why it would be, not just because I'm getting older, blah, 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 but lots of things. And not just me, my husband does as well, my partner, and like that he is growing and changing, and that we do have to learn to fight correctly again. And it changes. Like, you may learn how to fight, and then you guys go into a different stage of life, and you have to learn how to fight differently.
Wow.
Like, it's just, there's just so much that happens and changes throughout your life. And I've only 6 years married. Like, I was just talking to a friend that is 11 years married. Like, that's just such a cool thing to say. She's in the double digits of marriage. So, like, it's just the changes that happen in your life. Like, you have to remember that your life is changing, you're changing, and your husband is changing. And you have to continue to, like, understand and change with it. Like, you can't just stay stuck where you were.
That's deep. That's good.
So good.
Elizabeth Fitson.
Yeah, to like the Facebook post with like the name underneath,
Yeah.
like the quotation.
Yeah.
Unsolicited advice.
You gave so much.
No.
What else would
I
have?
feel like I know what I'm practicing is loving God, and then from that place, loving myself, and from that place, loving others. And in this season, an intimate partner who I pray and who I believe will be with me forever. So it's just like that hasn't changed from before I knew him to now. It's like I still gotta love God first. I still have to love myself enough to not act crazy, you know, in moments, enough to discipline myself and do the things I need to do for me so that I can show up in our relationship. So that's how I'm living. Yeah.
One thing that God's been like teaching us as we like navigate a lot of change is like to resubmit everything to Him. You know, you always hear that like, oh, like put the Lord first, submit it to the Lord, pray about it.
Yeah.
But we forget that like every single decision should be submitted. Every single thing that you're like thinking about doing or that you're planning to do, it's like, yo, Lord, let your will be done before ours. Like, if this is your will, let it happen. If not, take control. And that's a really dangerous and powerful prayer, because once you do that, you're like removing your hands, and that's a scary thing to do, right? It's a really scary thing to do, because like it might not end up how you want it to end up. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. And you got to be okay with that. You got to understand that. Right. So just like that process of resubmitting everything to the Lord frees you, but it's also scary. Like scary, right? But yeah, I would say that just that's something that we've been like head on, man. Like we have to do this. We have to resubmit everything. Like there's like decisions that we've taken, and it's just like we should have prayed about this. Like we actually should have submitted it. You know what I'm saying? Not praying like afterwards, being like, Lord, please bless this like mistake that I made. Like it doesn't work that way. It's just like, yo, like you gotta, before you do it, that's when you do it. And it's tough. You know, like life happens, like stress, like situations, a lot of things that can be thrown at you that you just forget.
Right.
Or you don't have the time to submit it. But I think that's like a really important thing, just in life in general, but also in like relationships, like that's planning for marriage. One of the prayers that we did with Steph was like, Lord, let your will done. Let your will be done in this relationship, in this marriage, in this ceremony, in this house, in this everything that's happening, everything that's changing. Like if there is a no, please make it like a no, right? Like don't let us even go through it. Like don't let us even think about it. Just close the door absolutely and shut us out. Right? If this is not your plan, if this is not your will, if this is not your date for a wedding, if this is not your plan for the house, if this is not, et cetera, just close the door. Like, shut us out. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna suck. But please do it. Right. So
like you said, that's dangerous.
Dangerous.
Go ahead.
No, in that spirit, like, we all said this earlier, I think, in different ways, but there's like, especially in our eyes, because we're not the sovereign Most High God, even though we really think we are. But like, in our eyes, there's no perfect person. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect literally anything. And I know that has been a healing for myself. So I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen in this moment or this moment. It won't. Or I was that person for basically my whole life. Just said like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time for clowns.
Yeah.
I don't have time for games.
Yeah.
I don't have time. Like, who's the author of time?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I have a little iPhone. I have my little calendar. I think I'm cute.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm in control of time,
Yeah.
but I'm really not.
Right. That's
And
right.
so, yeah, you said it with like the age difference. You said it with all of the things that you're submitting, but like there's no perfect time. There's no perfect person. And it really requires surrender to like give that up. It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. I feel like we could just go another hour on that. These like, I was like, I'm so tempted to just be like, in light of that. But let us know in the comment section if you guys want a part 2. I have been really blessed by this. Thank you guys for sharing your wisdom from your experiences. We're praying that you guys continue strong in all the relationships. And I pray that this was a blessing to y'all. Be on the lookout. We'll have more content as you guys get a inside scoop on Perazim people, what God is teaching Perazim. As you can see, he's doing a work here. And so, but we love y'all. Until next time,
Hey,
family.
follow Perazim Church on IG, man.
IG, Perazim. Perazim Church, Perazim Church. But yeah, we love y'all. Until next time, family, peace, and grace. How's everybody feel? Killed that. What? Y'all do this.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need her talk. You need to have your own podcast. I could sit and listen to her talk forever. Have you been married for 6 years?